So welcome again to the webinar. You're here to discover a simple system for creating true freedom and a quiet mind without spending hours meditating. I'm going to focus on the presentation so that I'm not distracted, but if you have questions along the way, go ahead and type those in the question box and I'll answer as many as I can towards the end of the webinar. And I just want to say I was going over things yesterday beforehand to make sure everything was ready, and I ended up on the page where if you got connected with me before now, where you watch a video after you've entered your name and email. And I was reading the comments on there and I was just overcome with emotion and gratitude for being able to share this with you and have it connect with you the way that I'm seeing already in those comments. I feel like when I start talking about this stuff, I just feel like I get brighter and it just comes out. And it feels really great, and it's so awesome for me to hear other people receiving it with the impact that I hope it will have. So let's see here. Next slide, come on. Why isn't my slide moving? Technical, oh, there we go. I don't know why, but maybe I just have to click instead of keyboard. Okay. So one of the biggest problems that we have in the Western world is that our lives have gotten so busy that we never stop until we take a vacation, if we take a vacation, or until life gives us a speeding ticket by handing us an illness or an injury. And even in those times, I see most of us try to keep going through illness and through injury. Even we don't say, okay, like I really need to rest and let myself get better, clear some things off my plate. We just keep trying to fulfill all of these commitments that we've made, even though we really need to give ourselves time to get better. We don't take it as a sign that we need to give ourselves that rest. So busy lives like this and our busy minds are what keeps us from the peace and freedom and happiness that we want to experience. We feel like we're under pressure. When I have too many things going on, you get this level of a little bit of anxiety in your mind because it's like you don't know where to begin, or you feel like, you have all these commitments. So we're pushing ourselves through each day, and we've even got freedom kind of confused. We think that freedom, I think for the most part, most of us think that freedom is financial freedom and having like all of the time and money to do whatever you want, having a passive income. But what I learned is that freedom is much bigger than that. And we can have it right now, no matter what our circumstances are. And I'll explain that more later. So there is a much easier way. There's no need to struggle so much to make progress in life. And today I'm going to show you a way to do less, have more peace immediately, and begin to achieve more in a much easier way than by being busy, busy, busy all the time. So how do I know? Because I've experienced it myself and I figured out what I did that worked, and it continues to work for me. So you probably already know, my name is Julie Babcock, and like many of you, I've struggled and experienced stress, and that's me on the left, weighing 185 pounds in 2004, and that's a longer story, but I've hit that weight a couple of times in my life, yo-yoed, and that's me on the right a couple of years ago, 50 pounds and a lifetime of busy-mindedness lighter. I used to have a very busy mind, busy life. I used to talk fast, eat fast, drive fast. I got speeding tickets. I used to think too much, overanalyze everything. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I tried different things. I tried network marketing. I tried moving up in the office. Nothing seemed to give me the level of freedom that I always wanted in my life. Until 5 years ago, I had an experience that I always say the only way I can describe it is a spiritual awakening. And overnight, I was completely changed. I went from having this busy mind to having a silent mind. And it was a really interesting experience because I had to get to know myself all over again. Like I just responded differently to everything that came up in life. And it's even still, I find it's like, you know yourself for 35 years. And then one day, all of your inhibitions that you've had for years aren't there anymore. And so there's still this natural way that you react to certain situations. And you find out that that's not how you react anymore. So it's been very interesting. The experience instantly eliminated fear, guilt, embarrassment, like times when I should have been embarrassed and I'm just not anymore. I see the world with entirely new eyes. I now know what true freedom really is, and I would love for you to experience it too. And it came from doing the things and having the shifts that I'm going to share with you. And the really cool part of all of this is that it didn't come out of a traumatic or life-threatening experience. I didn't hit bottom or anything like that. I just did a lot of simple things that allowed this experience into my life. And those are things that you can copy. Which I think is interesting because it seems that most stories of awakening come out of like traumatic situations or illnesses or accidents, things like that. And so I feel like doubly blessed that I've had this experience and that it came from just pleasant experiences. It wasn't, I didn't have a near-death experience. So what is so powerful about this process is that it helps you find true freedom. As I said before, most of us are confused about freedom. We think that freedom is having the time and the money to do whatever we want, but that's a really, really small aspect of freedom. Freedom is really about having the ability to be objective and handle whatever happens in our lives without stress. And yes, it is actually possible to go through life without stress. And stress is what causes illness. Freedom's having the ability to be happy every day, no matter what. And unconditional happiness is so fabulous to experience. Freedom is also having the ability to do the things that we decide to do in our lives without fear, without guilt, without embarrassment, or without anything holding us back. And I found that those things hold us back. They're the only things that hold us back. Like the other physical barriers in our lives don't actually hold us back. Sometimes we think they do. And then we can look at somebody else who has far more physical barriers than we do, and they're doing it. So it's really just our own minds that really hold us back from whatever it is that we want to do. So yeah, before I was usually analyzing my life experiences from every angle possible, most minutes of the day. And that is definitely not being free. Being free is being able to let go of all of that and not have to analyze it or think about it at all. Having those quiet times, there's times where we can reflect for sure, but reflecting like 24 hours a day is really draining. And I'm so grateful that I'm not experiencing that. Excuse me, frog, that I don't experience that anymore. So, how do I get it? It's really simple. I want to give you a clear foundation of what will bring you true freedom and peace of mind. And the beauty of this process is that the things that open me up to having this life-changing experience are very simple and can be started right away. And there's no resistance to them because they're so simple and things that are enjoyable already. They don't require psychoanalyzing yourself. And the first 4 steps are so simple that you might not even realize the importance of doing them. But they're very practical things and they lay the foundation for the second half of the process. So these are the same things that I implemented like over many years in my life and that I now return to today to maintain this level of freedom. There are still times where I can occasionally experience frustration, which I now know is entirely of my own creation. And it's funny because I'll go through a little while, like, half an hour or an hour of being frustrated. And then I think, wait a minute, like, this is not what it's all about. And I just have to give myself some silence and stillness, or, these other things that I mentioned, and I'm good again. I can let it all go instantly. So let's see here. Where it was. So the other important part of this process is the simple but powerful shifts in perspective that I've gained from the other side of this experience. There's things that you realize when your experience of life has changed so much that you're suddenly just like, wow. And, you can put things into words that you never would have had any idea of beforehand. So those are things that I can share now as well. And I think I found some ways to share them that are easier to grasp. And if you grasp them fully, they can be awakenings on their own. And they're just valuable reminders day to day of how to view the world from this much bigger perspective. And one of them is a really major shift. And I've come up with an analogy that I think helps to convey it more clearly than anything else I've seen. When they occur on any scale, this changes the way that you behave and respond to life, and it begins to make life easier and happier immediately. So I share all of this and more on my Facebook page and in many of my free videos, but for them to have the impact that they've had in my life, they really need to be implemented consistently and integrated into everyday life. I think of it as creating a happiness lifestyle. And it's interesting because I didn't think of this as a calling until recently, but I just kept saying that I knew I needed to share this. And then I was like, suddenly it just hit me one day, holy smokes, this is my calling. And I've just had that, I feel like I've gained so much, and I need to bring that to other people any way that I can. Like, this is what it's all about, reaching this place of being able to enjoy life on a level that, you could never imagine is what it's all about, and not having to suffer, and just having that freedom and being free from stress. It's something that really everyone needs to experience. Let's see, back to my notes. So I knew that when the time was right, the way for me to do this would appear. And it's really amazing how it's all come about. And it's a bit of a long story, but the short story is that I ended up with an opportunity to make this blueprint available to those who are committed to doing what it takes to finally having the freedom that we all crave. And the great thing is that it just takes persistence in doing these really simple, enjoyable things. And when I started doing these in my own life, over the years, I thought that was it. I thought I had found freedom just by creating my own happiness lifestyle. But I really had absolutely no idea how much more free I could and would end up being. And it comes from doing these steps, but it comes from beyond that, because our mind begins to just become quieter on its own by implementing this. And then something much bigger begins to happen that's really indescribable. So the name of this complete solution is Finding Freedom the Simple Way. And I can't even describe like how amazing life becomes when you start operating from a much quieter mind and place of connectedness and inspiration. The synchronicities are crazy. It's really funny because I don't watch a lot of like television, but I do have like the Friends series that I like to just be able to pop in and watch just a 20-minute show when I want to relax sometimes, outside of everything, all the other times of stillness and silence. I just want something relaxing to enjoy. And if I watch a movie or an episode of Friends, it reflects back to me whatever's going on during that week. It's like, it's really bizarre. Like there will be some reference to the yellow brick road in one thing, and then something else I watch is the yellow brick road, like really specific things that just get mirrored back to me. And it's really crazy. But I'm a little off topic here. So I'm excited to be able to help you move towards having the kind of amazing experiences I've been having. And I've put a lot of time in the last several months into putting this together. And the last couple of years, I've actually owned an art gallery and gift shop, and I've loved being able to be there and be myself and have authentic interactions with people and have the freedom to manage myself, which is all great for me. But I feel so blessed to have had the experience that I did. And I really feel that I need to share it and help others experience this kind of freedom and joy. And I have like amazing realizations all the time. And I want to tell you about one I had recently. And it's kind of a long story, so I'm going to just keep it short. But I used to experience some physical issues that I was managing on a daily basis. And recently I found a practitioner who helped me resolve them. And I actually shared about it in my emails. So if you want to know more, you can watch the video that's in the email I sent out last week, or let me know when I can send it to you. But the difference is unbelievable. I experienced Raynaud's was one of the things, and I was frozen before. My hands would turn white. I wore gloves like half the year. I live here where we have 4 seasons. We have winter, it gets very cold, but even in the spring and the fall, I had to wear gloves until it got quite warm, and scarves, and I spent a lot of time in my vehicle even when I went out to lakes and things like that, because I was cold, so I needed to stay near the heat. And with this practitioner, that's gone. I'm warm now. I'm normal, and it's interesting because now looking at it, I can see how frozen I really was. And this was for years, and the amazing thing to me is that I actually wasn't any happier now that it's gone. Like my level of happiness has remained the same because I just did what I had to do. And it almost seems crazy that I had to like drag around all these layers of clothes and stay near the heat and have everything cranked. And I couldn't carry a cold jug of milk. I had to have gloves in the grocery store. Like it was quite serious, really. And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, okay, wear gloves, do this, do what I have to do. So it's really cool to look and go, wow, that's neat that I could do that and not think anything of it. But it's pretty cool that it's healed and gone now as well. I quite appreciate that as well. But unconditional happiness, there's nothing that can beat that. So let's see here. So this program, the way to get into this program is on this webinar. So I'm about to tell you more about it, but I can only work with a limited number of people, and being on this webinar is the way to get there. And so you're lucky to be here, and I'm very glad that you're here. And I feel that we really attract the right circumstances into our lives when we're ready. That's certainly been happening for me in amazing ways for the last few years. So let me share with you what makes this solution so powerful. And you've probably already gotten that from what I've already said. It's the simplicity. You're not going to be trying to quiet your mind. You're not going to be trying really to do much of anything. You're going to be removing a lot of the things that your mind normally reacts to so that it can become much quieter without effort, because that's the most important trick to quieting your mind in the first place. It's kind of to get your mind completely out of the way. So here we're focusing on other really simple things and just creating that environment. So it's not about doing or creating a quiet mind. It's about removing the obstacles that are in the way of a quiet mind and allowing your mind to settle into stillness on its own. So another important feature of this program is a private Facebook group where you can connect with one another and share how implementing these steps is impacting you, ask questions of one another, share insights that you're having. And when you're starting to go through things like this, I mean, with anything, it's just nice to have other people who are experiencing similar things to share it with. And I find with things like this, you know, when you're starting to have deeper experiences in silence and stillness and grasping things like, for me, something that I noticed that's really powerful is that to me, silence now is full. It's so full. And I know that I have people in my life that don't understand that. You know, even at the art gallery and gift shop, you know, when I've been there, it's very quiet a lot of times. And I love that because I love the silence. I love the stillness. To me, it's full. It's joy, it's love, it's everything. And until you've experienced that, lots of people think that silence is, it's empty, it's nothing, there's nothing there. So, but these aren't conversations that you have necessarily in, you know, in everyday life and with everybody in your life. You know, even now I only have a few friends that I can really talk openly with, because the experience that I had is really, it's just deeper than anything that they've known. And I don't talk like this in my daily interactions because I prefer to bring acceptance to day-to-day life and just offer this information to those who are looking for it. So, and you can do the same within this group. Connect and share with others who are going through what you're going through, and not have to worry about expecting everyone in your life to get it. And some of these shifts take some time to integrate into your life because they're so different from the way we're used to looking at things. So it's really, really nice to have other people to experience this with and to share those experiences with. When I had my experience, I felt like I had been communing with nature. That was the word that came to me, that I was communing with nature, which is defined as to converse or talk together, usually with profound intensity and intimacy. And I reached a point where I really wanted to commune with other people. So this group is here to make that available to you. And the other thing that you're going to have is direct contact with me. Well, in that Facebook group will be private, and I'll be in there as well. So if there's anything that you want to discuss throughout the program, you'll have the opportunity to do so, which is kind of like having access to the author of a book you're reading, which is kind of cool if you think about it, like an interactive book. I did this program this way because words really don't convey how powerful this experience was, how powerful, you know, how can you describe, you just can't describe it. So that's why doing it this way was a good fit for me, because I'm on video really conveying each step so that there's more of a connection. And then same with, you know, having the Facebook group and being interactive. And we can, you know, I can keep it simple that way. And if there's anything, you know, further that we want to go over, we can do that in the Facebook group. If you have specific questions that aren't easily answered in the Facebook post, I can record and post a video response, or we can find other ways to be engaged. So I want to be connected with you and directly share this with you, guide you through it. And if you want it, give you feedback in terms of being congruent with shifts in perspective. You know, like when we're talking about like love and oneness, it's easier to get clear if we're being congruent, you know, with oneness in our lives. And those are things that can get, you know, a book can't really describe how to do that in your day-to-day life, but we can have a conversation on Facebook about, you know, things that come up and how you responded and whether it's congruent or not. So it can be valuable. Oops. Let's see here. So yeah, this doesn't really apply so much to the first steps, but more in the second half. The first steps are pretty simple. And so how it works is it's an 8-week program where each week you watch a video in which I describe the step to you, and you implement the steps that led to my quiet mind, and learn about the shifts that came from having a quiet mind, which are the things that I have integrated into my life to maintain this experience over the last 5 years. So it starts out very simply with what to do and why to do it, and moves into some important shifts in perspective. And you'll have access to this information in a private members area indefinitely, so you can repeat the program or any module as many times as you like. You'll also have access to the private Facebook group indefinitely, so you can maintain the connections that you make in the group and continue to connect with me as your life changes and grows out of implementing these steps. And I would recommend going through the program again for sure after you complete it the first time, because most of these steps are things that we need to keep doing, like ongoing. I still do 5 years later, which is how I know that they work. And you want to really create that happiness lifestyle for yourself. And it's so simple, but the more that we do it and implement it, the more we also realize that there's even more we can do. And which is kind of funny to say, it's like an oxymoron, because we're talking about actually doing less, but doing more of doing less. So I'll go over each module briefly. And I already share these steps via email, but it's really difficult for them to have nearly the impact that they need to have, which is why I created the program and have done it in video. And because like I say, I don't think that a book can really convey. I think just video is the next best thing to being in person, and even better than phone. Actually, I've done some stuff over the phone, and it's good as well, but then you're limited. It's, you know, more one-on-one, and I'm not going to reach as many people, and video is just a great way to go. So module 1 is simply silence and stillness, and it's just to get you to put into practice making time every day to spend at least 15 minutes up to an hour or more if you want in silence and stillness. And I'm not talking about meditation. I'm talking about doing something relaxing and freeing, and at the same time, not purposely engaging your mind during that time. And this is the most important step of all. If that's all you get from this webinar is to do this, spend time every day in silence and stillness, honestly, that's huge. It's really huge. That's really what I implemented, you know, sort of last, and then the most. Like I spent, you know, my life became like an ashram-like environment, and bam, that's when it happened. So that's really the most important thing there. Module 2 is clearing clutter. So making space in our actual surroundings, because it helps us let go of external things and it creates space for peace and freedom to come in. And I share the simple criteria that I came up with for myself to determine what to keep and what to clear out. I was prepared to get rid of pretty much everything. And sometimes it's funny, I even got rid of stuff, and then later on I was kind of like wondering where it went and going, oh yeah, I probably got rid of that, you know, but I don't need, you know, I just don't need stuff. Now it's like I only want things that are practical or that are really beautiful. They bring something to my life. So I made some criteria for that, and it's worked really well for me. And yeah, I wanted to continue living a normal life. You know, that's what made me come up with this criteria. I definitely was ready to wear robes. I actually, right at the time, I didn't shave my hair off, but a while later, and I didn't even think of it, it wasn't planned. I just thought, you know, I just want my hair gone. And I did the 3/8 of an inch, just had the buzz cut for a year and a half. And I love that. The only reason that my hair's a bit longer now is because actually it stresses my dad out a lot. He's very old school, and girls should have long hair and boys should have short hair. And it's crazy, but it really, really bothers him. And it's not that important to me to make him that uncomfortable to keep my hair in the super easy buzz cut. But man, it felt awesome. And I will do that again later in life. I know I will. So module 3 is clearing mental clutter. This involves making our lives and our surroundings quieter by using simple organization techniques that don't take very long to implement. Like even our minds, like we use our minds to remember far too many things. And if we use other organizational tools for doing all of that stuff, we're so much freer. And this is something that I started implementing quite a long time ago. So this is why I say all of these things, you know, if they happen together, makes it more powerful and changes can happen quicker. Because these are, you know, it took me probably for the last, you know, 2 decades, I started doing all of these things to some extent. But having it all at the same time and just, you know, really just making your life so conducive to that meditative state, your life becomes a meditation. So module 4 is simple decision making. This is another sort of just basic strategy for getting some things off of our mind. If we're not good at making decisions, especially ones that we're happy with, it really takes a lot of our energy. Especially if we make a decision, you know, even if we make a decision quickly and then we aren't happy and we're having to choose again because we want to get out of whatever we decided on, you know, being in that decision-making state all of the time is just very draining. So there's some just really good simple reminders, and I think they're so simple that they're probably more effective once you've really created that silence in your life and, you know, you have that, you know, your mind is becoming quieter already, then these tips for decision making are just going to be like really clear. So module 5, I call Becoming Fearless. Let's see here. Which came instantly for me with my experience, but I introduce a free tool that you may already know about, and it helps us eliminate any fears that we have, emotions that are holding us back, physical pain, allergies. So I've called this module Becoming Fearless because I really would recommend that that's the most powerful way to use this tool, even though it can be used for all the other things as well. But being fearless is a much nicer way to go through life. You know, there's all these things about feel the fear and do it anyways. Well, fear doesn't feel nice. That's feeling crappy and do it anyways. And I would much rather eliminate the fear and then move forward without it. So I would highly, highly recommend using this tool for that. And then the modules start to get a little bit more abstract after this. Module 6 is letting go, which is, it's a really simple reminder. And this is something that for me has become so powerful from the other side of this experience. And I'm not sure that I would have necessarily gotten it beforehand, but it's such a powerful experience because really there's not a lot in this world that we need to cling to and hang on to. And so, I mean, we can let go of thoughts, we can let go of things, we can let go of, you know, there's so much that we can let go of: fear, guilt, embarrassment, all of that stuff. So it's a really, really, really powerful reminder and something that we can use in any situation to help bring us back to that place of peace. And module 7, this is where it gets like very abstract. I call it It's All One, or I could call it something else, but that gets revealed in the program, where that's where the analogy comes in. Let's see here, I changed too soon on my notes. So yeah, this is the most powerful concept, and I really feel that the analogy that I've come up with should really make it click for you. You know, we've lots of us have heard that it's all one. We already believe it, but to actually know it is a whole, I mean, that will change your life. And that's what I experienced, you know, with that awakening that I had. And it was 4.5 hours of just feeling like connected to everything. And that carried forward. I had like 2 or 3 years that I kind of call my bliss years, where it was actually almost a little bit hard to relate, you know, in a day-to-day environment, because I just absolutely nothing mattered. And I just knew right away, like, that everything is connected. It is all one. So I have like a visual analogy that I think really helps that to sink in more. And let's see here. Module 8, the last module, is simple meditation. Because once we've done all of these other things in our lives, now we're in a really good place to be able to do some meditation if that's something we want to do. And I have to be honest, I actually don't really do it very much. The odd time, yeah, but I don't plan it. I don't schedule it. What I do sort of, yeah, I don't really schedule much of anything. I just have built things into my lifestyle. Like I say, even having the art gallery and gift shop and being a quiet environment and positive interactions. I've just moved slowly towards the situations that would allow my day-to-day life to be the way I wanted it to be. And even when I was in an office environment, I did actually use one of my coffee breaks for my silence and stillness. And I needed that in that situation because it was busy all during the day, lots of noise. It was like an office with 50 people. But yeah, I just make it so that it's built right into my day-to-day life. And I just had that 15 minutes. One of my breaks, I would go and visit with everybody. In my lunch hour, I'd go home. And my other 15-minute break, I would just go into a quiet room by myself. And I might read, or I might just sit and look out the window. So, but definitely I can meditate, and I have done some meditation after all of this. I had never tried before. But it's much easier once you've really gotten used to silence and comfortable and all of that, then it's much easier to actually start to meditate. And if you haven't felt that oneness and that connection, then beginning to meditate at this point can really bring that in for you. And I just share some simple tips that, things that I've come up with. One of the reasons why I even did do some meditation is because I found in the summer going out hiking and all of that was my meditation. But in the winter, I couldn't spend as much time outside, especially with the whole Raynaud's and the fingers and toes being cold. I have heated insoles for my boots and all these heat packs everywhere. And, I had to bring everything with me and not spend too much time outside. So that's really where I did spend some time in meditation because I wanted to experience that really powerful feeling of oneness and peace and all of that. But I couldn't go out and do it the way I had in the summer. So that's really when I worked on all of this stuff. So let's see here. So yeah, you can definitely experience huge gains even before you've done meditation, but meditation definitely impacts everything exponentially as well, for sure. So I'm going to look at the questions here and see if there's anything I can answer. Doesn't look like anybody had any questions, unless you wanted to ask some now. Let's see here. Okay, we'll keep going. So if I can find this experience, you can too. I really want you to know how much this changed my life. I hope that comes across and can definitely change yours. And yeah, I mean, it's possible for everyone. That's the amazing thing about it. And yeah, the experience that I had was so powerful that I no longer need answers. And before, I always wanted answers to everything. I wanted to know why and how and what, and I wanted answers. And now I'm happy to let life unfold naturally. It changed my eating habits. It changed my spending habits. It's changed my business mindset, my way of relating to people. I feel connected to and have compassion for everyone and everything, including myself. I used to eat too much and too fast. I discovered looking back that I was actually greedy about food. Like I actually had a bit of an addiction to food. And now I'm just so much more balanced. Like I have people say that I eat like a bird, which is funny, but I'm balanced and, I have a slow metabolism naturally. So, having that addiction to food really was not good. And I still treat myself almost every day, but I'm not at all tempted to overeat like I was addicted to doing before. I left a secure 9-to-5 job and bought the gift shop and art gallery. And the ups and downs of owning my own business weren't stressful for me, even though they were stressful for my spouse, and he wasn't even operating the store. I just deal with things as they come. Even when I think for a second that something could possibly cause me some stress, when that thing comes along, I'm like, oh, this is no big deal. And I attract much different experiences and opportunities into my life now. Like even having this way to present this to you and be able to work with you is amazing. And I didn't go looking for it. I was kind of on a different path and found it. And it's amazing divine timing. It's just, I can't even describe. So yeah, like everything just comes easier. I do what I need to do without the inner conflict that we're usually not even fully aware of, that slows us down. And even relationship issues, when they still arise, but I don't lose sleep. I sleep good every night. I don't obsess like I used to. I just say whatever needs to be said. I give it time to be resolved, and in between I let go. And that is true freedom. And it's, as much as I can say, I could never describe. Even those close to me don't fully understand how free I really am. They're still viewing me from what they know of life. So they still sometimes think that I have feelings that I don't even have. It's like, no, I'm like, yeah, like I say, they're just viewing it from their perspective of what they know. So I'm sharing this so that they and you have that chance to experience and understand this true freedom that I'm talking about. And it is so simple to invite this into your life. So there are many books and programs out there, and you could probably find a separate one on almost every module in the program. But it doesn't have to be that complicated. And the power, oops, I'm going backwards. And the power really comes from doing these things all together. Let's get back to where we are here. So, and I haven't seen this put together like this before, and not in this interactive format. Most things cover, parts of what I've talked about. And the value of having exactly what I did and what I still do to obtain and maintain this freedom simplified in front of you is worth at the very least $200. But the real value is it's exponential. Like I wish that I had known this was possible years ago. So having access to each other for ongoing support in the private Facebook group while you're going through the same things is also, I would say, also at least worth $200. I would have loved to have had people to share this with as I went through it. I found a few along the way, but it's, I did a lot of Googling actually to try to find people to connect with, and I found very few. So this is a really neat thing to have, this support group. And having ongoing mentoring, from somebody who's experienced what you want to experience, it's a really powerful thing. That's what I've used for putting this together, and it's been so valuable. It's made it so much easier and quicker, and you don't have to, wonder or whatever. And it's because this is something is so much more subjective and abstract. I think it's really helpful. Like I say, feedback is always great. So mentoring is wonderful, and that's worth at least $2,000. I've actually spent much more than that in the last year on the things that I've been working on. And the new perspective that you can gain, honestly, I'm sure that you have heard in my descriptions that it's really invaluable. There's nothing like it. And, books definitely can help and can take you so far, but having this interaction, I think, is hugely powerful. There's a synergy that develops, but you're not going to pay $2,400, of course not. And you're not going to pay $1,000 or $500. So this program is $197, and that's for unlimited access. As I said, it's a members area where the videos are posted that you can watch, and once you've gone through them, you can repeat them as many times as you like. Everybody in your house can do it. I'm not picky about that. Or you can do it as 2 payments of $113. Oh, and I missed something here. There's one part. You have to go to join to get on there. That's the proper address. There we go. And when you take action today, your investment for this 8-week repeatable program is only $197 or 2 payments of $113. So 1 payment would be now and 1 in 30 days. I'm on the wrong slide. But I also want to give those of you who take action on this webinar a very special bonus audio of my journey to here. So it just shares a little bit more about my, some of the things that happened in my life that brought me to here, a little bit, just connects us a little bit more. Talks a little bit more about my whole spiritual awakening, because I know I'm always curious to hear people's specifics about, how it happened, when and why, and all of that stuff. So it gets a little bit more into that. And for those of you who take action in the next 15 minutes, I'm also going to include a half-hour phone call so you and I can connect directly, and I can learn a little bit more about what you've been experiencing so far in life, what your starting point is. So if you're in the next 15 minutes, then just email me your confirmation to julie@juliebabcockinspired.com, and I'll be in touch with you to book a phone call. And I wanted to offer a guarantee that would really put you at ease, because this is not about getting as much money as I can from people at all. I considered, when I was talking with my mentor, we considered a higher price point, and I didn't want to make it that. I wanted to make it sort of just enough that you're making a commitment and you're going to spend the time and do the things to have the impact. But this is not, that's not what it's about for me. I would have been happy at the gift shop and gallery, So I wanted to have a guarantee that would just, you have nothing to lose. So it's for the full 8 weeks. You can do the entire course risk-free. And if it doesn't reach you on the level that you were expecting, then money back, no questions asked. And I trust that you will implement the steps in the program before deciding that. But if it's not resonating with you for whatever reason, then just send me an email to julie@juliebabcockinspired.com and you will get your money back. So we're at the end here. So just, you can go to, again here, I have to add that, oops. You can tell it's I'm not practiced at this. findingfreedomthesimpleWay.com/join. And if you're one of the first in the next 15 minutes, then email me and I will put you down for a 30-minute phone call with me as well, where we can connect directly. So are there any questions before I end the call here? Let's see here. Okay, somebody asked how my Raynaud's was treated. And that actually, I'll just type in the chat box here that it was actually an energy healing. And the energy healer's name is Allison Chavez. And I'll just send you her website. It's just her name, AllisonChavez.com. And she's really amazing. And if you go and look her up right away, she might even still have a special on. Okay, next question, let's see. Okay, somebody else said that they found they had to really monitor reactions to situations for a while, and now they don't so much and just notice the situation as it is. Did I go through that phase as well? I kind of went through a phase where I almost, because I had this such a powerful experience, I really, my reactions were really minimal. Like I almost had to make an effort to react to things, like just nothing really brought up a reaction. So yeah, it's definitely been very interesting to integrate this into life. You know, I could have gone and lived in the woods. Really, it was funny because there was a while where my the suite that I lived in, the pipes froze, so I had no water. So I had to go a little ways away to the other house to have showers and stuff, and then bring a bucket of water so that I could flush the toilet and things like that. And it was like 3 weeks I lived like that. And I went to my hairdresser. That's when I was still getting haircuts, and he was like, "Wow, you could be like a pioneer," you know, like he was surprised that I was just like, "Oh, no big deal," you know, don't need the amenities. And yeah, it's to respond to things. Yeah, it's just really different because to connect with people, you have to be able to talk about the things that people commonly talk about, I find. And for a while I just it was hard to really respond to anything dramatic in a dramatic way. You know, it was kind of like you want to empathize and that, but at the same time you don't want to contribute to drama that can be dissolved. So it can be a tricky thing. And it's been 5 years now, so I'm more integrated definitely than I was at first. And yeah, it's gotten much easier, and it's still really, you know, it's just an amazing way to get to live. And somebody else said that they have a physical illness that's making it very hard to stay focused, but it looks like it will be almost healed. What would I suggest? I definitely would suggest the healer that I just sent that message through, AlisonChavez.com. She is really amazing, gets to the root of things, because I had tried, there is the free tool. I can tell you it's EFT is the tool that I refer to in the program. And so the module that I have on that is, you know, I explain my experience with it, and I go through how to do it, even though there's also information online about that. That's really helpful. I had used it on myself and I wasn't getting results. So that's why I looked further and I found a practitioner. And honestly, she got right to the root of what was causing that problem, and it was gone. And I didn't even know there was that much of a solution, and I'm amazed. So I highly recommend her. And let's see here. And you know, like honestly, bringing all of this into your life, having the silence and stillness, creating that life where your mind is so free. I mean, I've actually experienced lots in the last 2 years. You know, now I've had other things healed as well, but I mean, I've had back pain. I've had like eye strain, so my neck and my back and everything has been out of whack. And it was all fine. I could handle everything. So this solution really, I feel, can help you with absolutely anything in your life. Like I know now from my experiences in the last year that I can handle pain, I can handle illness, I can handle, you know, whatever comes up. And that was a really powerful realization right at the time when I had the experience, was that I just was like, wow, I can handle anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It like absolutely doesn't matter what it is. I can handle whatever comes up in my life. So it's really, really amazing, and I would really love to share it with you. So it looks like those were all the questions for now. Oh, just wait. Okay, there was a comment, but no more questions. So I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar now, and I look forward to seeing you in the group or on Facebook or out there on internet land. Thank you so much for sharing this with me.